Khalid, thank you so much again for being here today. So we have a new question for you. At this moment, is there a halt on international real estate investment and the business investment in Central Florida due to the pandemic?
Well, there is mainly because there are the inflow of passengers. The people are not coming to Central Florida or most of the place in the United States because of the pandemic, and it's especially from Brazil, because your main investor here locally were the Brazilians, the Canadians, and the Chinese. Chinese were responsible for about 15% of purchase of real estate before the pandemic. So that has totally halted. And same with the Brazilian investors. Brazilian investors used to buy property, especially around the Encore and Reunion area, the subdivisions there, because they used to buy it and then use it for investment purposes. But now with the tourists, with the fall in passengers coming in, I mean, Orlando International Airport just reported that last year, as 2020, the passenger traffic was down by 50%, from 52 to 26 million compared to the previous year.
Wow.
So until this the tourist industry picks up or visitors start coming back to Central Florida, we're not going to see any significant changes in international investors coming to Central Florida. And of course, they've been hit hard because most of the purchasing was done by investors. They used to buy the properties and rent them out. And now that market is pretty stagnant right now, because you've got a moratorium on rentals, which means the tenants are probably not paying the rent, and you can't really do anything because of the moratorium. So there's a whole big situation that needs to unlock before we see a significant move from the international investor to invest here in Central Florida in real estate.
So with that in mind, do you think it will be more than a year before any of that takes place, until the vaccinations are over, until the borders open? Because we were hoping that the borders would be open by now, and nothing is happening, and by the looks of it, it won't happen any soon. So we are in a situation where we're in I don't know.
Well, the situation isn't in our country here in the United States, it's in other countries also. So there's got to be a global solution to the pandemic problem before we see a significant move both ways. So with the new Biden administration, they're doing a pretty good job of trying to vaccinate a major portion of the population ASAP. So it's not only here, it's the other countries where Canada, Brazil, etc., where most of the tourists coming into Central Florida originate. So they have to work hand in hand to make sure the problem is just not us, it's those countries and also. For example, the UK, which is a major source of investment in real estate for Central Florida, they have a pretty serious, they've been in a lockdown situation for the last 1 month. And they not only the COVID situation, but they also have the South African virus, which is spreading there. So I don't see any significant improvement in the near future. It's going to take at least 9 to 12 months before we see a significant improvement in foreign investments coming into Central Florida. So meanwhile, what has been sustaining the market is really your local tourists and your local traveler coming coming from other states, that has sustained our local market here in real estate.
So there is still some movement and some investment, but internal.
Yes, most of the investments have been internal, because if the potential investors can't travel to the USA to see what they're buying, that affects them significantly. So unless we see that a turnaround, which I think is going to take minimum of 6 to 9 months, the market is going to stay pretty stable like this.
And do you think these efforts to bring the stock market to Florida, how do you see that?
Well, anything that creates jobs locally here and brings in investment is, of course, good for us. So we're looking forward to, we've read about Disney in California bringing 4,000 jobs here, which will be good for areas like Lake Nona, for example, where most of them will be housed.
Wow.
But as far as other factors are concerned, I think we have to rely on the fact that not only the stock exchange, the stock market, but a lot of other institutions from out of Florida, they are looking at Central Florida as a possible venue for their headquarters, for their operations, etc. So I'm very hopeful that Central Florida will probably recover much faster than in a lot of areas, and probably rest of Florida also.
Okay. So we're going to take a little break to do our final question.